Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine thin blue incense smoke curling up through morning light. A small palm leaf tray with sticky rice resting beside a bowl of water, and a carved photograph frame tucked near a tiny Buddha image. That hush is full of attention and care. In today's episode, we're stepping inside the quiet rooms of Cambodian homes to explore household altars, the small domestic shrines where families remember ancestors, mark life events, and practice daily care.
The layers matter, and thank you for that image. As we explore, I'll bring historical context and attention to craft, while we both keep returning to the lived, everyday acts that make these spaces meaningful. The evidence shows us that household altars are not static relics, they're living practice.
Quick personal note. My grandmother would rise before dawn and place a tiny bowl of rice on a low shelf. She never called it ceremony. She said simply, "We remember." That ordinary remembering is exactly what we want to trace, where craft, memory, and daily care meet.
Anthropologically speaking, these domestic shrines sit at intersections: ancestral veneration, household well-being, and devotional practice. There are pre-Buddhist guardian ideas woven together with Buddhist filial duties and local folk customs, all shifting across generations. We need to keep that complexity in view so we don't flatten regional variety.
Right. People often look up keywords: spirit house, ancestral tablet, offering tray. Those labels are useful, but they don't show how families actually use these things. Could you paint a visual of a typical domestic shrine?
Sure. Often you'll find a low cabinet or wooden platform near the home's main room, lacquered or painted, small Buddha images in bronze or clay, woven offering trays, ceramic bowls for water and rice.
What hits you first when you enter the room? The smell? The sight?
Often the smell, honey-sweet jasmine, and the sharp, smoky note of 2 lit incense sticks. You feel a compact composition, objects arranged deliberately so hands can reach for offerings quickly. And there's a human scale to it. One artisan once told me she folds each palm leaf tray into a boat about 10 to 12 centimeters across, pressing it gently with her thumb to hold the shape. Those small measures matter because they shape the rhythm of care.
I can see that. I remember those little boats from my aunt. Fragile, but somehow sturdy in the hand. Tell me about the crafted objects. Where do they come from?
Many are made locally. Provincial lacquer workshops produce spirit houses and sanctuary boxes. Small foundries or potters make Buddha images. Weavers fold leaves and braid small baskets. For example, an artisan in Kampong Chnang, who preferred anonymity, described a lacquered spirit house she finished last year. Roughly 60 centimeters tall, painted vermilion with thin gold leaf highlights along the eaves. She said the process ties a family to place because the materials and techniques carry a region's touch.
That image of the 60-centimeter spirit house is vivid. Small details like size and color make the object feel lived in, not museumed.
And that lived quality is key. The tradition teaches us that care, repair, and repetition are what keep memory alive. Offerings are perishable by design: fruits, rice, flowers. So making and remaking them enacts continuity.
Let's walk through a concrete morning sequence. Picture someone arranging a small bowl of water, placing a palm leaf boat of sticky rice, tugging into jasmine bloom, lighting 2 incense sticks, adjusting a photograph, and bowing for a brief moment before stepping back. You smell jasmine, hear the soft intake of breath. It's quiet but deliberate.
That shape shifts with life events. For a birth, you might see protective amulets or symbolic foods. At planting season, families make offerings to ask for good growth. At weddings, altars can mark lineage and blessings. The elders taught us these practices change in form but preserve intent, care, and connection.
We recorded a number of anonymized voices for this episode. One artisan said, Each box holds a child's leaving, meaning the lacquered sanctuary box became a place to keep small notes or objects when children moved away. That line stuck with me. It shows how material objects become memory containers.
Important ethical reminder. We only share phrases like that with consent and without identifying details. The research tells us communities value privacy around household practices, so if you're documenting, anonymize, ask permission for recordings or photos, and be guided by local organizations.
There's a tension I want to bring up. Are altars private family matters or public symbols of culture? I used to think they were almost strictly private, but seeing diaspora shrines suggests otherwise. I'm not sure I buy the idea that it's only one or the other.
I disagree slightly. It's not binary. The pattern shows hybridity, private practice with public meaning. In diaspora apartments, an altar can become a shared classroom for kids, or a focal point at a community center. That hybridity matters for preservation. Supporting artisan networks and oral histories keeps practices alive without turning them into static displays.
Okay, I see that. Public in meaning, private in practice. So what do visitors need to know? Simple rules go a long way. Always ask before approaching an altar, avoid touching offerings, photograph only with permission, and if someone offers you food, accept with both hands as a sign of respect.
And for students or heritage workers, document ethically. Use anonymized interviews, obtain consent for recordings, and partner with local organizations that prioritize community needs. The cultural significance is in relationships between maker and user, elder and child, host and visitor, not just in isolated objects.
Before we wrap, a few listening prompts if you'd like to engage responsibly. Notice what objects repeat in a household. Ask who made them and where. Listen for language that links an object to a memory, and consider how the household marks seasonal change. If you do document anything, always get consent and offer your notes back to the family or community.
We've ranged across craft, ritual, migration, and ethics. The deeper story is that household altars act as living archives, everyday practices that hold time through small, repeated acts. For further reading, look for community heritage groups and ethnographies that center Khmer voices, and consider supporting artisan cooperatives that sustain making skills.
If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe to Ancient Echoes and share it with someone who cares about cultural heritage. Visit my YouTube channel for visual tours of household altars and artisan techniques. The images show details we can only hint at in audio. Tag your respectful photos or reflections with our handle, and we may share community stories in future episodes. Let's unlock the echoes of history together.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Ancient Echoes. We hope these stories helped you see Cambodian history and culture in a deeper, more human way. Please follow us, and when you share, remember consent and privacy for the households you visit.
The echoes of the past live on in people's voices, memories, and everyday lives. Thank you for listening and for making space for these stories. Until next time.
Until next time, thank you for listening to Ancient Echoes.
In the quiet of night, I whispered my plea, holding her close, hoping for her decree. I called upon spirits, asked them to guide, to take her heart and lead her by my side. So I drew her near, traced her brow so fair, my sight is way. Sacred power, sway, mighty spirit awaken. By the master's right, let her heart be gently taken. Let her follow me now by vow and by sign. I hear these words, oh teacher, witness this plea. Oh, my sacred powers, why? Oh, oh, oh.